Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, Supreme Court dismisses appeal against the election of the governors of Oyo, Yobe and Delta states on the grounds of lack of merit and abuse of court process. Former court accused to testify against former House of Representatives member Farouk Lawan in the $620,000 oil subsidy scam. This trial is stalled. Chief Justice of Nigeria warns Nigeria's growth and stability may be endangered unless speedy reforms are carried out to tackle financial crimes. And world rallies to establish the cause of the devastating effect of the Zika virus on babies in South America.
On Business News tonight, the National Bureau of Statistics says capital inflow in 2015 crashed by over 50%.
Alan Sports News, the wait for the National Sports Festival continues as host Cross River State postpones the event to the last quarter of 2016.
I'm Linda Kibe, and from Abuja, Federal Inland Revenue Service raises hope on funding of the 2016 budget, targets 4.9 trillion naira.
We'll begin tonight with the Supreme Court's judgment affirming the election of 3 sitting state governors. In a unanimous judgment, the 7-man panel of the Apex Court, led by Justice Walter Ononogan, dismissed the appeals filed by Mr. Great Ogboro of the Labour Party and Emejo Ortega of the All Progressives Congress, challenging the elections of Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State. The court also dismissed the appeal against the election of Governor Abiola Ajumobi of Oyo State and Ibrahim Gaidam of Yobe State. The Apex Court justices held that the appeals lacked merit, but deferred reasons for their decisions to the 15th of February 2016. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafo, reports.
The journey to the Supreme Court began at the various tribunals where all 3 appeals were dismissed for lack of merit. And then it proceeded to the Appellate Court, which also agreed with the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Delta, Oyo and Yobe states, respectively. The defendants then brought their cases to the Apex Court, which is the final court of decision. And what has become the usual in recent times, the parties in the suits adopted their briefs as their arguments, after which the 7-man panel of justices, led by Justice Walter Ononogan, retired for a 45-minute break to write their judgment and come back with a decision on the different appeals. And in less than 15 minutes, the panel delivered a unanimous judgment dismissing all 3 appeals for lack of merit.
All the courts, the Tribunal, the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, have held in unison that there was no merit and there is still no merit in the petition. And that, to my mind, the petition ought not to have been filed. I think that's the message the Supreme Court has passed to each and every one of us.
From the Tribunal to the Court of Appeal and to the Supreme Court, it was the same song of victory. So we have to be very grateful and appreciative of that fact that these are concurrent findings which has been affirmed by the Supreme Court. So they were not out of place. And it has gone to throw more light on part of our jurisprudence, and that consistency is very commendable.
As lawyers, it is our understanding that the Supreme Court has only reaffirmed the position of the law, especially with regards to the Electoral Act, and nothing has changed.
And this is the reaction from the counsel to the Labour Party candidate in Delta State, Mr. Great Ogboro, and that of the Accord Party in Oyo State.
For now, we accept the finality of the matter, and I believe my client does too.
The law is evolving. I wish that my client had won today. That's Rashid Ladoja. But he's not winning today, but he will win some other day.
As expected in a situation such as this one, someone and others lost. The Apex Court has promised to deliver reasons why they gave their judgment unanimously in favor of the governors of Delta, Oyo and Yobe states. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.
Well, do you still remember the case of the $620,000 oil subsidy scandal involving former House of Representative member Farouk Lawan? Well, the former lawmaker is back in court. But this time, his former co-accused, a deputy director and staff of the National Assembly, Mr. Boniface Emenalo, is now to testify against him. In the amended charge, the former lawmaker is standing trial for allegedly receiving $500,000 after demanding $3 million from Mr. Otedola. The trial was, however, stalled following objections raised by the defense counsel on the admissibility of some documents. Justice Angela Atuluka subsequently adjourned the trial to February the 9th. In the meantime, the trial of the former National Security Advisor Colonel Sambo Dasuki before an FCT High Court has been stalled as well. This follows the inability of the prosecution to produce the accused in court on time. Counsel to the EFCC, Mr. Rotimi Jacobs, told the court that he made correspondence to his clients for onward transmission to the Department of State Services. Counsel to Colonel Dasuki and other accused persons rejected the application made by Mr. Jacobs on the grounds that there is a pending application before the court. Now, this is the third trial that has been stalled as a result of Colonel Dasuki's continued detention. The court adjourned to the 26th of February 2016 to hear the application.
We're supposed to have started today, call our witnesses. Our witnesses are available, but we could not. So it's because of this is second is rearrest that is causing a series of applications, and then those are the applications that are stalling the trial. Until we remove those applications, trials will not be able to go on. So, and he's saying in those applications that trial could not go on, that it should be released because he's in detention. So that application will have to be taken first.
The prosecutor, I think, was very embarrassed. While we maintain that the second defendant, that's Colonel Sambo Dasuki, has been kept against the orders of the court, we filed an application to deal with the consequences of that. And that's why we told the court that there's no point standing down or adjourning till tomorrow, since government is bent on keeping him against the orders of the court, and also we are determined to enforce the dignity of the court. So we'll meet on the 26th of February to deal with that.
The fourth prosecution witness, Uche Obilo, testified at the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos today in the ongoing trial of the former Director General of NIMASA, Mr. Patrick Akpobolokemi, and 6 others. The witness, who is the Managing Director of Ace Prothetis Limited, Seabulk Offshore Limited and Southern Offshore Limited, told the court how his 3 companies were paid 905 million naira by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, for a contract he did not execute. Our judicial correspondent, Shola Shoile, reports.
The fourth prosecution witness, Mr. Pascal Uche Obilo, said the money, over 905 million naira, was paid into his company's bank accounts, even though he did not tender any proposal or carry out any contract for the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA. Led in evidence by the EFCC's counsel, Rotimi Oyedepo, the witness also disclosed that he was approached by NIMASA's Executive Director for Maritime Safety and Shipping Development, Captain Ezekiel Agaba, who is the second defendant in the case. It was the captain who told him that his companies had been awarded the contract to assist NIMASA meet the International Ship and Port Facility Security ISPS code for 2014. The witness further testified that shortly after the money was paid, he was told by the captain to stay execution on the contract. He was subsequently directed to transfer the money into different accounts until 54 million naira only was left. The 54 million naira, he says, has since been transferred to the coffers of the federal government. Under cross-examination, the witness admitted to the court that though he held several meetings with the second defendant, he never met the first defendant, the former DG of NIMASA, Mr. Patrick Akpobolokemi. Neither did he receive any instructions from him. The witness also admitted that despite being given the job description for the contract, his company actually lacked the capacity to carry out some of those functions. The defense sought to prove that this was the reason for the stay of execution he received from NIMASA. The cross-examination of the witness will, however, continue at the next adjourned date of February 5. Shola Shoyele, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, President Muhammad Buhari rounds off his two-day visit to Ogun State with a luncheon. Stay with us.